Hello, dear audience. The narrator's voice warms like a lantern at dusk. Have you ever thought the past was fast asleep, only to hear it knocking at your door at midnight? Tonight is the quiet of a small farm, the hum of a concrete mixer far away, a young couple who believe they have finally stepped out of the shadow, and then footsteps in the gravel. A man who once wore a ring on her hand, now wearing a story like a mask. If kindness is a door left ajar, will the dawn come in? Or will the storm? The farm sat at the lip of a low valley, where morning mist took its time to lift, and the soil smelled of rain even when the sky was blue. Tu Tien's house was new but modest, solid beams, clean lines, the kind of place you built to last rather than to impress. Jack had helped design it, trading late-night drawings for summer morning labor, and now they called it home. Inside, the furniture was a mixture of gifted pieces and careful purchases. A corkboard near the kitchen with seed schedules pinned in neat rows. A shoe rack by the door, precisely arranged. A narrow shelf with small framed photos, none of them loud, all of them precious. They had been married only months, but they knew the weight and shape of each other's silence. Jack was practical, the kind of man who'd rather lay foundations than give speeches. He ran a small construction outfit that often finished jobs others left messy, and he loved how the clean edges of a wall could hold back weather. Tu Tien was gentle the way water is gentle, soft around the edges, but with a persistence that could move stone. She had known the unkindness of a former family and had learned painfully the cost of keeping the peace at her own expense. With Jack, she'd learned a different peace, one that asked her to stand equally beside him. On a late afternoon, the light gold and the breeze merciful, a shadow fell across the gate. He arrived as if he belonged. Smile too quick, posture too familiar. Her ex-husband had the kind of face that could look sincere from across a street. Up close, it was all angles. Tien, he said as if he were allowed to say her name like that. I was in the area. Thought I'd check on you. He wore the story like a jacket. There had been an illness, a hospital, a bill that had no mercy. He showed her a thin stack of papers, receipts in grayish ink, a photocopy here, another there, the dates uneven. He did not ask for money, not exactly. He suggested there might be a small window where a small kindness could be the difference between bad and worse. She told herself it would be a single act of courtesy, a sealed envelope with an apology printed in it, a favor to close a chapter. She did not tell Jack. She did not want a storm over something that might be no more than a cloud. She handed over an amount that stung but did not wound, and she thought, there, that is done. It was not. Kindness is a scent. Those who have hunted it before can smell it across a field. He returned sooner than she believed possible, with a different story that seemed like the same one wearing a different hat. This time, the emergency was not his, but his sister's. An accident with the scooter, then something about overdue school fees for a nephew. He stood outside the gate and spoke softly, like someone proposing a prayer. When she hesitated, he breathed in a trembling way that echoed old, unhealed corners of her memory. If you won't help, I'll have to ask elsewhere. Or I can come by again when Jack is home, so we can discuss. She gave again, less than he wanted, more than she should. And the night that followed was gray with wakefulness. She began to recognize a pattern, a call late enough to startle, a message framed as a plea but shaped as a trap, a quick appearance at the market, a too loud greeting that made the fruit seller look over. She started to save everything, texts, missed calls, a photo of the gate where a folded note had been slipped between metal bars. She told herself she would tell Jack, and then she didn't. The third time, the paper he brought had a hospital logo at the corner, though the font was a shade off. At first glance, it said more than enough. At second glance, it said too much. The patient ID repeated on 2 different dates, the doctor's name spelled 2 ways. She took a deep breath, asked a question, watched him answer quickly in the wrong direction. Her stomach went cold, not because she hadn't suspected, but because suspicion had just become proof. A neighbor gave the last nudge. "That man," the woman whispered, lowering her voice as if a fence could overhear. "He's asked at 2 other houses. Different stories. Same ask." The words were not an indictment, but a gentle brush of reality across a bruise. Shame is quiet until it's not. That night, Jack noticed more than her silence. He noticed the curve her shoulders made around her phone, the quick flicker of the screen turned face down. "Long day?" he asked. She nodded too fast. He didn't press. He knew that pressing can feel like pushing, but pressure finds its own door. The ex-husband crossed a line. One evening, he waited by the bend in the dirt road where the hedges meet. He called her name as if it were an appointment. "If you won't help," he said, "Jack will." Or perhaps Jack would be interested to hear old stories, the kind that can turn a dinner table sour. The threat wasn't loud, but it breathed smoke. She picked up her pace. She did not cry. She kept walking, her hands trembling in a way that made the keys hard to hold. She didn't see Jack's truck until its headlights swept the turn. He stepped out and saw everything. Her rigid posture, the man too near, the shape of leverage in the air. Jack did not raise his voice. "Inside, Tien," he said, steady. To the man. "You. Wait by the gate." Inside, she told him all of it. She thought he would be furious in the way of thunder. Instead, he listened in the way of a builder, measuring load and line. "Thank you for telling me," he said finally. "We are going to handle this, not with fists, with a file. A file can hold a life." They sat at the kitchen table, and evidence became an architecture. Screenshots dated and printed, call logs exported and highlighted, the photo from the gate, a grainy freeze frame from the small camera Jack had installed when raccoons were stealing their seedlings, a list of names, the neighbor, the fruit seller, the hardware clerk who might have seen him near closing time, the receipts laid out like playing cards, the misprint of the hospital's address circled red. The next morning, Jack spoke with a community liaison at the local police post, a matter-of-fact officer who kept her hair in a tight bun and her pens tighter. She listened without theatrical concern, as if concern was a tool she applied evenly. She outlined procedures. Keep reporting. Do not engage privately again. Document every contact. Gather witnesses. Do not give money under pressure. If he appears, call. What they had, she explained, could be part of a pattern. Harassment and coercion shaped to look like help. "Bring him into the light," she said. "He works in the dark." They arranged a meeting in a public place, a small cafe near the administrative office, bright at midday, where sugar packets sit in glass and conversation hums low. Jack texted the ex-husband an invitation that suggested finality. "We will resolve this. Come at 2. He CC'd a friend from the neighborhood watch, and he alerted the officer, who asked a plainclothes colleague to be nearby. At 2 o'clock, the man arrived wearing an expression of friendly fatigue, as if misfortune had made him humble. He sat. He accepted water. He looked around with the quickness of a stray cat. Jack did not offer small talk. "You've asked for money 4 times, Jack said quietly. 3 times you received it. Once you insinuated you might speak of the past to my wife's disadvantage if she didn't assist. Today we will end that." "I never," the man began. Jack lifted a hand, not rudely, but like someone signaling a crane to pause. He placed on the table the stack of evidence, dates and sums, screenshots, a printout of the hospital's true billing format, a list of discrepancies. He asked 3 questions that required memory rather than performance. Which department issued this bill? What floor is the cashier's office in that hospital? What's the full name of the doctor you mentioned? The answers came quick and wrong. The facade shivered. He tried another angle, a soft sigh about pride, a remark about the old days. He glanced at Tu Tien, hoping to catch the old reflex. But she wasn't the same woman. Not since she had named what was happening to her. When he reached for his pocket, with what might have been a folded note or just a nervous hand, the officer stepped forward from nowhere, polite but definite. "Gentlemen, ma'am," she said. Perhaps we should all move somewhere quieter. In a small office, words turned into papers, and papers into a process. The officer noted the specifics with a patience that felt like the opposite of indifference. She explained again what constitutes harassment, what differentiates an ask from a demand, where the law stands when someone uses fear as currency. The man tried to recast the events as misunderstandings, then as favors gone wrong. "I was desperate," he said. You thought she was a door you could keep pushing," the officer said, not unkindly. "It is not." No one celebrated. There was nothing to celebrate. They signed what needed signing. The officer would follow formal steps. The man left with the angle gone from his shoulders, his excuses folded thin. The afternoon stepped down a notch. Life, which had paused, began to play again. Back at the farm, the house felt both heavier and safer. The air in the kitchen had the bite of disinfectant and lemons, because Jack had wiped the table twice. He stood by the window for a while, watching their dog patrol the fence line, as if it had always been doing this. Tu Tien leaned against the counter and realized how tired her bones were. She also realized she wasn't ashamed anymore. "I should have told you sooner," she said. "You told me now," he answered, "and we tell each other next time even sooner. That's how we build." She breathed in the smell of damp earth. The lines that worry had drawn across her face softened, as if someone had come with a gentle eraser. "I kept thinking kindness would fix it." "Kindness isn't a currency," he said. "It's a boundary we share. If someone turns it into leverage, it stops being kindness." They made tea. The kettle sang like relief. The dog thumped its tail against the doorframe and seemed satisfied that things were once again as they should be. The light had shifted toward late afternoon, a lighter gold than the one with which this began. Across the valley, the breeze combed the tall grass in the way the sea looks when ships rest. Over the next days, the officer followed with measured steps. There were forms, but there were also faces. Neighbors willing to say what they saw, a hardware clerk who remembered the man pacing near closing, texts that time-stamped a pattern. The law moved at the speed of reality, which is slower than anger, but faster than despair. The ex-husband backed away into the shadow he had come from, discovering that when people look directly at you, a mask is hard to wear. A week later, Jack and Tu Tien sat on the porch with a tray of sliced fruit and a bowl of salt. The world was ordinary, which felt extraordinary. A boundary fence is not a fortress. It is a conversation with the world that says, "This is where we live, and you are welcome if you come in good faith." Jack watched the sun slide down to where the hills learn to keep secrets. Tu Tien watched it too, and somewhere between them, a thread of humor returned. "You know," she said, "our gate makes a little squeak. Maybe we keep it. A small warning." Jack smiled. "We'll oil the hinges enough that it doesn't hurt, but we'll keep the camera and the file." She touched his hand, the small, ordinary kind of touch that says more than declarations. "Thank you for protecting me by making me stronger," she said. "You protected yourself," he replied. "I just pointed the light." In the months to come, there would be other problems, because life is generous with those. But there would also be habit and love, and a house that felt more than just walls. There would be mornings when the mist lifted with a buttery slowness, and the fields would glint with spider silk, like kite strings no one could see. There would be nights when rain wrote on the roof and they listened, unafraid. If a stranger asked, they would say the story was simple, an old door knocking, a new home refusing to open. If a friend pressed, they would say the truth is more careful. Compassion is not something you owe to those who sharpen it against your heart. Compassion is a river you direct, not a flood that takes your house with it. And forgiveness is a language you speak when the other person has stopped shouting. On the corkboard in the kitchen, the seed schedules remained. In one corner, Jack pinned a new note. Boundaries are also acts of love. Under it, in her careful handwriting, Tu Tien added, "Put kindness where it can grow. Dawn at the farm is never loud. It arrives like a promise it intends to keep." On a morning much like any other, the gate did squeak, but it was only the wind, and Jack laughed when he realized it. He poured coffee into 2 mugs. She stepped into the doorway with soil on her fingers and joy in her eyes. The past, finally, seemed far enough away to stop whispering. The future, at last, felt like a path they were drawing together, steady as a pencil line, strong as a beam. And if you listen closely, you can hear the last echo of the question from the night that started this. If kindness is a door left ajar, will the dawn come in? Or will the storm? The answer they learned was simple and hard. The dawn comes in when you stand together at the threshold and you close the door to the wind.